It's no doubt that Fortnite is taking over the gaming community, a ton of people are playing it, and it's also available on mobile with over 100 million players playing it on their mobile devices from iOS to Android. But it's obviously a mobile device, which means you have to pair up with the touch controls on the actual screen itself. However, with a new update from Fortnite more recently, they've enabled wireless controller support within the mobile version of the game. Controller support is available on both iOS and Android, and Epic Games has announced a ton of different mobile controllers that you can actually use from SteelSeries, Microsoft, so you can use something like an Xbox One controller. However, if you're a die-hard PlayStation fan, you're kind of out of luck as PlayStation locked that down, so unfortunately it can't be used on mobile. Also, with the newest update comes 60 frames per second on certain devices, so something like a Samsung Galaxy Note 9, newer iPhone devices and a bunch of Huawei phones as well. It's kind of like a console experience. Well, kind of. Hey guys, Michael from Copper vs Glass, and today we're going to be playing Fortnite Battle Royale on my Pixel 2 XL with an Xbox One controller to see if there's any advantage to having tactile buttons, dual analog sticks, and if there is, if it's kind of classed as cheating. So, let's take a look. So as I mentioned, I'm going to be using an Xbox One controller on my Google Pixel 2 XL to play Fortnite. Now it couldn't be simpler to actually pair it. All you need to do is turn on the Xbox controller, it's then going to start to flash as you can see, and then you're going to get a prompt come up on your mobile device to actually pair and connect. Now if this doesn't come up, you just need to go into your settings and then into the Bluetooth settings, and then you're pretty much set and ready to go. You should have a solid light showing on your Xbox controller to show that everything is totally connected. And hey, if you want to actually use your controller to control your device for any reason, then again you've got the option to do so. So as you can see here, when I'm actually moving around the analog controller, if I just bring the controller into screen here, once I actually move this stick around, you can see that it's going to move around this bubble on screen to allow me to select certain things. Now obviously it's not going to be perfect, and I definitely wouldn't recommend it for using your device, but it just shows that everything's working and gives you a little bit of an idea in regards to how good or bad the responsiveness is. But now onto some Fortnite, and as you can see, once you load into the game, you can see here that all of the actual buttons are definitely mapped. So you've got X, Y, B, everything's all connected as it should be. And again, swapping through the menus at the top using these shoulder buttons, you can see again that it's very responsive and it works pretty much one-to-one. Now don't get me wrong, it's not going to be perfect. However, you do have the option to go into the settings, over to the controller options, and just get a good idea in regards to the controller settings that you're using. And you can also change them for different building and also different shooting modes as well. So again, it does give you a little bit of option in regards to customizing your experience, but it's not necessarily as good as obviously what you're going to find on PC with a mouse and keyboard. You can't really bind any button to anything within game, but it does a pretty good job. Now we're going to be playing a game of Team Rumble, which I know is a team-based game mode instead of solos, but it's going to give us the best option in regards to finding other players really quickly, getting into some action, and actually seeing how good the controller is when using it within Fortnite. And straight away, it is a very strange sensation. If you've ever played Fortnite Mobile, your hands are pretty much cramped around the screen. You've got a ton of different buttons that you need to be pressing on the actual screen itself. So to play away from your device, have a controller ready to go is a really nice experience. Now obviously, if you do have something like an iPad or an Android tablet, then again, this is going to be an awesome experience as well to allow you to play a little bit more competitively. You've got a controller, you've got your screen. So again, it's a really nice setup for an on-the-go experience. And straight away I can tell that the controls are very, very responsive. Once you're actually pressing buttons, moving around, jumping, switching weapons, everything is pretty much one-to-one, and I can't really see much lag, if any at all. And obviously keep in mind that this is a wireless controller, so it's not going to be as precise as using the on-screen buttons or a wired option, but for a wireless controller I can't see any complaints whatsoever. But the responsiveness and the smoothness of the controller doesn't actually mean anything if it doesn't work very well in game. So as you can see here, just doing some farming for some materials. Obviously you do have that marker that you need to hit to get some extra materials. So again, it's a really good practice in regards to getting your aim on point. And don't forget that you can also change your sensitivity within Fortnite as well. So again, if it does feel a little bit strange, tweak around with the settings and find what works for you. Now when you're actually in a gun battle, you can definitely tell that the analog sticks does give you a little bit of an advantage in regards to precision aiming. Now don't get me wrong, if you do play it solely on mobile using the touchscreen, you do have a ton of aim assist, which in my opinion is maybe a little bit overpowered on Fortnite Mobile, but you do also get a little bit of that when using a controller as well. Now don't get me wrong, it's not necessarily as bad as what you'd find on a PlayStation 4 or Xbox One natively, where you're allowed to spam the zoom in button or the aim button basically to kind of use aim assist to your advantage, which again they are going to be patching in a future update as well, but it does give you a little bit of an advantage when actually using a controller as well. However, as you can see here, it's not perfect. You do need to definitely get your aiming game straight when playing on a controller, because the aim assist isn't as powerful as what you're going to find using the touchscreen. But then other times, like shooting at this enemy from far away, the aim assist seems to basically lock on and I wasn't really missing any shots. So it's a little bit hard to tell at the moment if it does or doesn't give any advantage using a controller in game. Now this was actually my first game using a controller as well, so you can see in regards to whether it's easy or not to pick up, and for me the movement itself does definitely feel a lot better than using the on-screen buttons. However, the aiming, at least in the first couple of minutes of playing the game, does feel a little bit off, and again not necessarily as responsive as what you'd be getting playing the game natively on your device. And as a result, I was actually dying quite a lot. As you can see, this guy in front of me jumps straight up with his balloons, kills me straight away, and he's more than likely using the touchscreen controls with the aim assist as opposed to any sort of controller setup. But then after a little bit of practice and a ton more time in regards to different games and just kind of giving it a go, changing some settings, looking at the sensitivity, I did start to understand exactly how good a controller can be on Fortnite Mobile. As you can see, I was getting a ton of kills and it was getting easier and easier the more games that I played and the more that I actually practiced with the controller itself. Now for me, I picked this up way quicker than I would have with the actual touchscreen controls. If I try and play Fortnite now with touchscreen controls, I'm still not any good whatsoever, at least not compared to how I play on PC anyway. But overall, it was definitely a good experience, and I can see it definitely being an advantage in regards to players that don't have controller support. Now whether Fortnite are going to update this so that controller people are only playing in lobbies with other people with controllers, I'm not too sure, but at the moment, in my opinion, it does give a little bit of an advantage. And that's going to do it guys for this video. Now if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up down below, and if you've got any questions or comments about using a controller with Fortnite, whether that's what controllers can be used and what settings that I'm personally using, let me know in the comments section down below, and I'll be doing my best to answer any questions that you guys have. If you're not already subscribed, now is a great time to do so. I've got a ton more videos planned that are coming out very soon, so don't forget to subscribe and also turn on notifications so that you're notified anytime that I post a new video here on the channel. I'm Michael from Copper vs Glass. Thanks very much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next video.